Macho John Madden, Juanito, they call me in Mexico, and I'm sitting outside of my rehab center in Fletcher, North Carolina, just south of Asheville. And I want to make a commentary about the recommendations coming out of the office of Robert F. Kennedy, the director of Making America Goofy Again, who's suggesting that we do away with routine school mental health screenings. I imagine one of his reasons for doing that is that if there had been school screenings, they would have detected incredible mental illness in him. He's one of the cabinet that has shown clear signs of having several screws loose. Addiction, abuse, very strange behavior. Now, I have a couple of personal connections with this issue. One is, yeah, I know that psychiatry can overdiagnose and that there's a lot of risks in that. The psychiatry profession has way too much power, diagnoses way too many people, prescribes way too many drugs. I absolutely see that. But according to the radio piece that I just heard on National Public Radio, mental health screenings in schools do not diagnose. They look for signs of trauma or problems and then get help for kids. So my other personal connection with this is I wish that had been true when I was in school in the 50s and 60s. I was born in 46, so I was in elementary school in the 50s mostly. Yeah, I graduated from elementary school in 60. I have often thought how much I wish that back then when mental health practices were not widespread, there had been a school psychologist or a social worker or anybody with psychological awareness who might have turned up the fact noticed the fact that my anxious behaviors, my being the class clown, were signs of trouble at home. They weren't signs of having ADD, although sometimes people might diagnose my active behaviors that way. But it wasn't ADD, it was trauma. My dad was alcoholic, and we were not verbally under instructions to hide the fact, but it was clear that it was taboo. People were not to know about my dad's alcoholism. That's why kids were not encouraged to come visit me at our house, because they'd see the beer cans. They'd hear the screaming. Yeah, I wish that some kind, thoughtful adult would have inquired a little bit about my behavior. If they had dug a little deeper, they would have found out that I was being sexually abused. Now, that was super taboo. Super taboo. So taboo that I forgot it after age 10 and didn't get at it myself until my 40s. Wasted a lot of time. Would have been great if it would have been amazing if somebody had said, something's going wrong with this kid. We ought to look into that. So the Trump administration, which is pretty consistently devoted to making sure not to level the playing field, not to provide a leg up for poor, minorities, and troubled kids. Charlie Kirk, no saint, shouldn't have been killed, but there's viral video going around where he mocks empathy, says it's a woke concept. That's Trumpianism in a nutshell. Sensitivity to others, caring for others is woke, and we'll stamp it out. So I worry a lot about our country. Worry a lot. It's in bad shape and getting worse. And I so much want to go back to Mexico. So much, every day want to go back to Mexico more, and might try to keep a way to stay here part of the year. But why? Mexico is way healthier. I have lots of videos detailing why Mexico is a dramatically healthier and happier place to be. If you avoid the cartel routes on the West Coast, which is not hard to do for us gringos. It's hard to do for people who have land there, who have lived there their whole lives, and it's tragic. It needs lots of attention. But that should not obscure the fact that Mexico is a much healthier democracy, where people are way healthier than the U.S., and there is much less violence. Much less violence everywhere I was for 2 years. Yeah, okay, enough of that rant.